Welcome to YxYA Radio. My name is Dan Watson and Benito Onyemba.
Yes, what's going on?
Beautiful. Nice. So we got a couple of great guests in the house.
Yes, we do.
And I don't want to spoil the surprise, so I'm going to introduce our first guest to the place.
Come on.
He goes by the name of Chad Veach.
Veach.
Make some noise.
Let's go.
Chad.
This is a great setup right here. I like this.
Do you like this?
Safe.
We got some water in there.
I
There's
appreciate
actual
that.
real water.
That is real water.
And
By the way,
cup.
I can't help but notice. Do you see who's in the front row right here? Lucinda Dooley is right here in the front row. I mean,
Chad.
I am nervous. My God.
You she's our last guest. You spoiled the surprise, but it's fine. No,
I told you I was nervous, man. I do
We're
stuff.
building.
When I get nervous, guys.
How you enjoying conference? How you enjoying Young
It's
and Free?
unbelievable. How about that last session, that prayer meeting? That was unbelievable.
That was phenomenal. That was real good, man. We loved your prayer. Your shirt was popping on the
Yeah.
screen.
You know, I'm a big prayer guy.
It's what I do. Listen, how's things going in LA with church, Zoe? How's it going all?
Yeah, a lot of fun. We're having a really good time. We live in Los Angeles. I'm a big fan of my city, so I love that. And our family is growing. We have 4 kids. We're enjoying
Four
it.
kids. What's their names?
I just got my wife a minivan. We call it the Swagger Wagon. My wife.
Does everyone else call it that?
No, just me.
Okay.
My wife begged for years to get a minivan, and so I said, okay, I'll get you a minivan if I can put rims on my minivan. So our nanny texted us yesterday because we tinted out the windows, and she got pulled over, and our tint is illegal. Like, we look like such our minivan for our children looks like a gangster mobile. It's phenomenal. Yeah, I'm a pastor. It's no big deal.
It's the best. Benny, you get pulled over by the police all the time, don't
Yeah,
you?
quite often. I mean, we got a funny story when we both got pulled over together, Dan. You remember that? Outside the church.
We did. We
got pulled over.
We went for lunch on staff break. We went for lunch. We were driving back and going down, you know where the warehouse is in Bermondsey. We're driving back, and then the police pull us over. They pull us over. They get out of the car. So we're like, okay, we're getting out of the car. All of the rest of the staff inside the
Looking
warehouse
out the windows.
are looking out at the warehouse, looking at us with these police like, what are you doing? And we're like, we're going to work. Wait, no, you're in the warehouse. What's this? You doing drugs? What are you doing? It's like, no. What do you do? We're like, I'm a pastor. And he was like, no way. Where's your church? I'm like, this is the church. This is the warehouse. But anyway, it happens like...
See, that's rockstar living, Dan. We got pulled over for Jesus. Come on, someone. That's rockstar living.
Hey, listen, Chad, you do something, you call it Leadership Leaning. Leadership Leaning, and it's like a podcast, YouTube channel that you do, and you put it out there for everyone to see. What's the reason you did that? I heard this yesterday, and I thought it was gold why you did this.
Yeah, I was saying yesterday, last summer, I got to have lunch with Craig Rochelle, and I was very distracted by his biceps. However,
Easily done.
He said really good things, and he asked me, he was like, hey, are you working on a leadership book right now? You need to do a leadership book. And I was like, oh, no, sir, I would never, I'm not even 40 years old. Why would I write a leadership book? And he was like, no, you need to write a leadership book right now, and you need to release a leadership podcast. And I would never have thought to do that myself, but to have someone, so I think it's so important that you use your influence and use your voice correctly, because you never know what you speaking life into a young leader or young person will do to them. Maybe you see in them what they don't even see in themselves. So I wouldn't have written a book or released a podcast unless I had somebody that I really looked up to say, you need to do this, and you're the perfect person to do this. So I didn't want to release a podcast where it's like me teaching. I just thought I would have someone on as a guest and talk about leadership. And I called it Lean In because I thought of 2 verses. Proverbs 4 says, call wisdom your sister. It calls out in the street, wear wisdom around your neck. If you do this with wisdom, basically if you lean into wisdom, wisdom will advance you, promote you, give you a good name. And so I wanted to lean into wisdom. And then in John 15, Jesus said, I'm the vine, you're the branches. So in other words, Jesus said, if you lean into me, I lean into you. And church is that way. If you lean into your church will lean into you.
That's great.
A lot of people get upset about their church. They're like, I can't get a mentor. I can't get a call back. It's all about leaning. You will always find people leaning into you if you lean into them. So I just wanted to lean into leadership and not say I have everything figured out, but how do I grow? And I know if I lean into leadership will lean back into me.
That's brilliant, man. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I love that you said that about the leaning in, because as 18 plus, this is usually the age that we finish college and we go to university, or maybe some people are starting their jobs and maybe in their careers. What would you say to the person who wants to serve, but they feel like they haven't got enough time to serve? How would you encourage that person? Because some people really feel like, maybe they feel guilty for not serving or for not being around all the time, maybe because they're studying. How would you speak to that?
Yeah, well, I think that, if you're maxed and you're studying or let's say you're trying to become a doctor or a lawyer, whatever it is, don't feel guilty if you don't have the time in this season. Serving starts from our heart. We live from a servant's heart. And so if you don't have the servant's time, that's all right. You still have a servant's heart. Right. So servitude is not something that you can only do at church. You can serve in your workplace. You can serve at your university, serve anybody you interact with. So don't live under that guilt. I think old church is like serving is in this box, within these hours, within this old set of frame. And it's like, nah, serving is just who you are. And if you live as a servant, then it's like, man, I don't have a guilty conscience because I didn't do it for 2 hours at church. I live as a servant. So I just say be released from, that's old school.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And listen, so I know how it is in London and, like across the UK, Europe even. Like, I don't know what it's like in LA, but I guess for young people within our society, there's so much isolation and loneliness, which causes, we're hearing these words, anxiety and depression. Everyone's saying, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. What do you think it is that is causing that? And what do you think that we need to do as young people to be able to step out of that?
Well, I think we had to, I think exactly what you said, we had to be really careful. I love one of my favorite proverbs. It says, a man that isolates himself seeks his own desire and rages against all wisdom.
Right, it's true.
So in other words, when you isolate, you are only after you. Wow. And in your feelings and caught up in your emotions. But I find that anybody that's going to serve or be a part of something bigger than themselves, it's like my feelings want to isolate, but I know I need to go add value. Yeah. I need to go help somebody. Yeah. And a lot of times, if I just focus on my problem, I'll isolate. But if I focus on others, it's like my problem goes away. Yeah. So if you isolate, it says you rage against all wisdom. Right. In other words, it's a foolish thing to be alone. First thing God says, it's not good that man should be alone. This is not good. And a lot of us, the worst thing you could do, you ever notice, it's when I want to be by myself that I should not be by myself. It's like that's when I need a friend. I need to be around community. So when you feel that anxiety or that isolation coming on you, it's like I got to be smart enough to pick up the phone and call somebody, text somebody. And the dumbest thing we could do as people is wait for the text. Like if I waited for the text, I would have no social life. Right? If I waited for the invitation, I would get no invitation. But like friendship starts with me. Community starts with me. Yeah. So I gotta, I was saying this yesterday. It's like I gotta say like, hey, what are you guys doing later? What's going on? Can we meet up? And if they don't text back, I hated you anyways. I don't want to be your friend. Oh, you don't want to text back? Didn't like you anyways. How about you guys? How are you? What are you guys up to? It's gotta start with us.
I love that because I've been reading a lot and. I just heard one of the things, I guess, even everything that you're saying, to do that and to be that takes vulnerability. And you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And it's not with everyone, but you go, I got to step out and do something. And there was this phrase I heard coined. It says, vulnerability, it's not excruciating and it's not easy, but it is necessary. And every single one of us needs to be able to take the step to be vulnerable. How important is it to be vulnerable? And how do you know who to be vulnerable with?
Yeah, that's so great. I think a part of being vulnerable is just being confident and being secure. I think one of our biggest problems, I can deal with this sometimes. I'm afraid to be rejected. Yeah. And so I can sometimes be like, I don't want to put myself out there because that's going to put me up for being rejected. And I think rejection's part of life. It's just part, like, I don't know. Jesus is the guy that goes, hey guys, they rejected me, they're going to reject you. So even Jesus faced rejection. But I know that I can't let rejection plague my decisions. I know it can't control my life. So I got to get to a place where I can be secure and comfortable in my skin enough to put myself out there and go like, I want to be genuine. I want to be sincere. I want to be honest. I always think like God can't work with the fake me. He can only work with the real me. And so if I'm faking it and build up these walls like I'm all good when I'm not, I can't go forward. And so a lot of the healing that we need in life is always attached to relationships. And so in order for me to have good relationships, I've got to be genuine and sincere.
It's good because it sounds like at the moment everything is taking personal responsibility, leaning in and having those conversations. And maybe there's some people who are here today and they feel like they don't have those genuine relationships or friendships. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, well, I would just say, do your best to create relationships where you can be honest and genuine. And I always think like healthy relationships are made up of healthy individuals. Yeah. So if you're like, I got really bad, dysfunctional, terrible relationships, I would say it's less about the relationship and more about you. Yeah. Don't get mad at me. I wear tie-dye. It's fine. like if I want good relationships, it starts with me. And that doesn't mean I'm perfect. That means I'm sincere and genuine. I'm doing my best to create healthy relationships. And I think we were made to connect with people. It's just good for our soul. We were made to connect with our friends and our family. And the only way I can you ever have a meal with somebody like 2-3 hours and you're like, we didn't connect at all. We didn't talk about anything. But then you have another meal with somebody and we spend 3 hours with them and you're like, we went there, we went deep, we talked sincere. Why is that healing for our soul? Because our soul is made to connect with somebody. Right. A lot of single people right now are like, that's good, I want to connect with somebody. You're a sicko, you know that? But you got to do your best to put yourself out there. Sincerity starts with you. Honesty starts with you. You ever notice when you go there, someone else is like, all right, I'll go there. It's awesome. A couple months ago, we had this dinner, and we went around the table, and we were going to say like a cheers. So, someone says a cheer, and then after you say it, we click glasses all around the table. Then, everybody takes a little drink, and then we keep going around the table. And I was like, I'm just going to start there. So I was the first one to go. So, I took my toast, and I took a long time, and I honored each person. I said something. I cried. But I'm telling you, I set the tone. And as we went around to the 6 to 8 people, by the end of it, I'm like, I'm drained. We've been crying, but we've been connecting. Yeah. And it was like that dinner was just as good as that prayer meeting we just had because it's good for my soul.
That's fantastic. Who's enjoyed this with Chad? Hey, come on, let's give it up for Chad Veach. Thank you so much for being in the house. Love you, brother.
Amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.